Hey everybody, what's going on? So today in this video, we're going to be talking about the 2018 deer season, what I did, and how I was able to tag out for the first time ever in my hunting career. Now, I've been hunting for 8 years. I started in 2010, and I've been hunting for 8 years. And this was the very first time that I've ever completely tagged out while hunting. So, basically what happened was, beginning of the year, not a whole lot happened at the beginning. A lot of days where I was just sitting in the warm weather, sweating, not seeing anything. So, the next few days started getting a little bit colder. I sat in this one stand we call the new stand because it is the newest stand on that property. I have a deer stand in my room over at my house, and we're going to be setting that one up next year in an area that I believe I could probably kill a giant buck, because there's been some history in that spot that I've seen a lot of big bucks. So we're going to try it. Don't know if it'll work, but we're going to try. So next thing that happened was sitting in this newsstand, and a bunch of does decided they wanted to come in. So I judge her for about 25, and I shoot. She was actually at 30. So what would have happened if she hadn't have ducked the arrow? I probably would have hit her in the spine and dropped her, or probably would have just barely cut the hairs on her back. But she did duck the arrow, and the arrow went sailing into the ground, and she ran off unscathed. So that happened, I think, October 12th or 13th, and then October 18th, I believe it was the 18th. Hang on one second here. I'm going to pull out my calendar thing and make sure that I'm saying it right. I'm pretty sure it happened on the 18th. Let me check this real quick. Yes, October 18th was a Thursday. October 18th, a Thursday, sitting in that stand called the White Oak stand. The White Oak stand was basically, it was kind of a really good setup, but at this point, the deer kind of avoided a little bit. I don't know if they've figured that there's a stand there or what, but I've never really seen a whole lot of deer out of it in the past few weeks. I've seen a lot of deer farther away, but I haven't seen anything up close to where I could get a shot. So basically what the White Oak stand is it's a stand in a giant white oak tree. And off to your left, which is just north of you, in that stand there's a food plot. And then in front of you there's a little bitty patch woods that goes out towards a right-of-way. Now there's another right-of-way that goes next to you. There's a road that goes on the other side of you. And then there is a right-of-way that comes straight through both the road, the other right-of-way, into the food plot. So there's two right-of-ways, a food plot, and a road that all kind of meet together right there within 30 yards. You can get a shot pretty much anywhere through there. That's the stand where you guys seen me take that little short clip of the button bucks and a couple other deer. I think I made videos there as well showing those deer. That's also where I got my first doe of the year. Sitting in that stand, I had parked my four-wheeler on the other side of the woods. Now, basically what I was doing with that is I was kind of trying to use it as a aid in spooking the deer back towards me. Once they do, they come down the right-of-way, or they just run through the woods towards me, I can hopefully get a shot. That was the idea anyway. So that actually worked. It was one of the few ideas that I had that actually had worked so well that it pretty much just put a doe at 7 yards. There's 3 does. They were all around the same size, and I watched them go out towards my four-wheeler, and pretty soon they blew their nose and came running right straight down the right-of-way and had the big doe at 7 yards, pulled back, put my 20-yard pin just a little lower than I normally would, and pulled the trigger. Arrow went straight through her lungs, and she only went about 40, 50 yards. So that was the first deer. So the next time I went out was literally the next morning, and me and my mom and my dad were out there as my dad and me were skinning out the deer. We were doing a lot of thinking about where I should go and when I should go again. Because in 2016, I took a very big risk and pretty much just took a whole week off every time I killed a deer. And I killed 4 deer that year, 2 does and 2 bucks. And I still had one other doe tag that I was unable to fill. So I didn't want to do that again because Lord knows with my luck, I wouldn't be able to get another deer. So I decided I'm going to go the next day. I just had to figure out where. And you guys have seen the big buck stand before. In that video, in another video that I just posted the other day, that doe is a little short, 7-second, I think it was, little on the trail video where I basically just held the camera like this and then panned it right over to a dead deer. That was pretty much what happened, but I'll go into that in a second. That was also the big buck stand. I've killed 5 deer out of that big buck stand, 3 does and 2 big bucks. If you guys haven't seen those videos, go check out back a long time ago in my video archives, and you'll be able to find it. But I've killed 2 big bucks out of that stand, so we call it the big buck stand. And I decided to sit there, and the strategy that went into sitting in that stand was I got to thinking, because I sat there in that stand that's a little bit southeast or southwest of the big buck stand and shot a deer. What if I do the same kind of thing that I did with my four-wheeler and use the area that I killed that doe in as something to scare the deer back up to me? And I got to thinking, you know, that might actually work. So I sat a little bit northeast in my big buck stand. And probably not even 8 o'clock, somewhere around 7 o'clock or so. Actually, no, it was before 7 o'clock, actually, because it was 13 hours difference. I shot the doe the evening before at 6:30, and I shot the doe the next day at 7. So somewhere around there, 13 hours is around how long it took. So about 6:30 so in the morning, I watched 5 does walk straight up towards that area that I killed that doe the night before. So I got to thinking, okay, maybe something will happen. Well, about an hour or so later, suddenly I hear something running, and it sounds like it's running towards me. So I stand up, clip my bow back on my release, and stand there. And pretty soon, here come 4 does, come running right straight in. Now they're at probably 40 yards to the left of me. So I'm thinking, okay, if one of them starts to come out, I'll take a little bit of a longer shot than I want to, but it's a tag that I need to fill, and I'll take it. So she walks out, and she gets about 50 yards away now. She's kind of cornered away. And then I notice that one, about medium size, it's big, but it's not tiny, decides it wants to come right straight in front of me. It's going to be at 20 yards. This is literally the trail that my 12-pointer took when I shot it. So it's coming through, and there's a little opening, probably about 3 foot wide, and I'm thinking if I can get her right there, I'll stop her and shoot her for 20. So she goes right there. I stop her. I go, bit. She stops, 20 yards, shoot her, smoke her. She runs off, kind of makes a J shape around my stand, and then takes off running. And you guys watched that on the trail video. Pretty good on the trail video. It took me probably with the unedited video. I didn't really edit it, but I paused it a few times to find the blood again. It took me somewhere around 20 minutes to find the deer, and it took me like 15 minutes of video to find it. So you guys can go back and watch that. If I can remember, I'll link the videos down in the description. Also, if you've made it this far in the video, Merry Christmas. This video will be going up on Christmas Day. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys had a very good Christmas. If you can, I'll do the same thing in the description. Let me know what your best gift of the day was. What your best Christmas gift of the year was. So, you can do that or not, I don't care. But then, after I killed the second doe, we go through a month and a half of just nothing. I seen 3 decent deer, decent bucks. They were probably about that big. I was going to shoot one of them, but he didn't come close enough. He actually seen my four-wheeler, and guess what stand it was? The big buck stand. But he came in, and he got a little bit too close to my four-wheeler and spooked, so I wasn't able to get a shot on that one. Seen 2 other decent bucks, but was not able to get a shot on them. One of them I was going to let pass, and then I kind of felt like I needed to shoot him. It was kind of an internal battle for sure. Whether I need to shoot this deer or not, because it was a very, very nice symmetrical 8-pointer, and I was really wanting to shoot him because it was a nice deer, but, you know, I kind of wanted to let him live just to see what he grew into. The problem with around here is there's so many poachers and people that trespass and hunt on your land that it's very hard to get a deer to grow into a big buck, because people will just shoot whatever they want. You know, they'll just run up and in their car with a crossbow and shoot a 90-pound doe and then leave it. They'll not even touch it. And it happens so often that it's very hard to grow a big deer. So I decided to let him go, even though he already ran off. I decided if he does come back, I'm not going to shoot him, just because I want to see what he grows to. But then, about probably 40 days later, somewhere around there, I have a doe in at like 50 yards, and I'm getting ready to shoot her. At this time, I'm on the ground with a crossbow, and I have 2 buck tags. So I'm wondering if I really want to take a doe with these 2 either sex buck tags or doe tags. They're either sex tags. You can shoot a buck or a doe. And there's a nice doe probably at 40 yards, and I've got a crossbow, which means that I could take that shot. Now, I don't normally hunt with crossbows. As you guys know, I have a Hoyt Nitram, and I love that bow. It's a very accurate bow. I've done like 2 or 3 Robin Hood shots with that bow, and I'm pretty accurate with it. But I decided since I was on the ground, I was going to use crossbow. And I had the shot. I had the crossbow up there. Could have shot her, but I thought, you know what? Maybe there's a buck behind her. Well, sooner than later, she ended up seeing me, and she ran off. So if there was a buck with her, I don't know. So now we fast forward to 2 days ago. 2 days ago, December 23rd? No, December 24th. No, that's the date. Hang on a second. I'm having a stupid moment. December 22nd. December 22nd, Saturday. I'm sitting in this big buck stand. It's early, and this one here was a little bit of strategy too. Because in years past, the full moon has always brought me luck early in the morning, like super early in the morning. I've killed a lot of does super early in the morning when it's just daylight enough where you can see because of the full moon. They move at night with the full moon. So I knew this, and I thought, this full moon is coming up. I need to be sitting in this stand this morning. Super duper dark out. I get in probably 30 minutes later than 30 minutes earlier than I really wanted to. So I'm sitting there, pitch black darkness, and I get tired. So I'm also, I don't know if I said this, I'm in the big buck stand at this moment. It's super early, I'm tired, so I'm sitting there and I kind of lay back because I have a rope that attaches to my clothes and it holds my bow, so I don't have to hold it, I can keep my hands in my pockets. So I sit there and I kind of lean back against the tree like this, and I fall asleep. And now I know a lot of people that hunt deer stands, a lot of people that are deer hunters, are probably going to get mad at me in the comments for falling asleep, but you have to understand, I was up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, didn't get any sleep pretty much, and then got right back up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go hunt. So I pretty much got maybe a half hour of sleep, and that was about it. And definitely was not because of a lack of trying. I was laying in bed in complete silence for a couple hours and just couldn't sleep. So I was sitting there, and I fell asleep. Pretty soon I opened my eyes up. It's getting a little bit lighter out, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll just close my eyes and listen, because that's one of my favorite ways of hunting, is just because you can listen. And it's pretty much too dark to really see anything, because you always, when it's dark out, you always think you've seen something move, but in reality, it's just a tree that doesn't move. So I was sitting there and I just kind of closed my eyes and was listening, and pretty soon I just heard a little sound right next to me. A little leaf moved, and I thought, okay. So I cracked my eyes open a little bit, and there's 2 does standing at 20 yards. How they got there without me listening and hearing them, I have absolutely no clue. But they were there, literally at 20, probably not even 20 yards, maybe like between 15 and 20, somewhere like that. Now, at the time, when I first seen it, I didn't know there was 2. I thought there was only 1. So this is where everything goes wrong. So I stand up, unclip my bow, clip my release, pull back. The arrow that was knocked on my bow decides it wants to make a jump for it and falls out of my bow and tinks down the rungs of the ladder. So now these deer are on high alert because they just watched an arrow fall out of a tree, hitting a tree stand. So now I'm freaking out. So I grab another arrow, pull it out of my quiver, knock it, pull back, aim, shoot. Well, the doe, the first doe that I seen, decided she wanted to drop. So I spine shot her. She dropped and was trying to crawl away, so I grabbed another arrow, pulled back, and shot her again, just like you're supposed to when you spine shoot a deer. So I'm freaking out because the only arrow I have now is an arrow that has a junky broadhead that I use for squirrels, coyotes, raccoons, possums, whatever. I don't really use it for deer. So now I'm freaking out, so I just freaking climb down the tree as fast as I can. I Spider-Man myself right back up the tree, latch myself back in, knock my arrow, and sit. Now this doe is laying here at 10, 20 yards dead, and I'm sitting here waiting. Don't see another thing for the rest of the day. But I got a doe, so I was happy. So I went down there and I done that little short on the trail video. Then a little bit more strategy went into the next hunt, because the next hunt was a morning hunt as well. So I did go in that evening and was unable to see anything, but I seen a lot of leaves that had been flipped over. And I could tell they'd been flipped over because they were wet on the bottom and the ground was wet. So when they were flipped over, they were wet on the top, but it was all dry. All the other leaves were dry. So I knew that deer had been in that area the day before, or the morning before. So I was now going to set the next morning in the button buck stand. We call it the button buck stand because there's a lot of button bucks that roam around through there, because it's a lot of bedding area and there's a lot of food in that area. There's persimmon trees, acorn trees, hickory nut trees, and there's also a huge bean and corn field on one side, and there's a huge clover field on the other side of this big bedding area. So I get in the stand super duper early in the morning. It is pitch black outside, and I sit there and I stay awake for the whole entire time because I don't want to have one slip in on me like I had the last one. So I stay awake the whole time, and I sit there, and it's not doing anything until probably around 8 o'clock. And I'm sitting there, and pretty soon I just see 4 does start creeping in. I'm like, oh, hey, there's 4 does creeping in. So I stand up, and I get ready. Now, I only have one doe tag, one either sex tag. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll take one of these does, and everything will be good. Well, then I notice this little guy is behind them, pushing them. So here he comes, and he comes up there, and now I've missed a doe in this exact same spot before. And I knew that this spot was 25 yards because I aimed with my 20 and missed her. So I knew exactly where he was going to be, and he was going to be at 25 yards exactly. So I put my 20-yard pin just a little high, put my 30-yard pin a little low, aimed with that what I call the imaginary pin, put that imaginary pin right dead center on him, shot, arrow, went straight, and just heart punched him. Hit him straight through the top of the heart, the bottom of the lungs, cut just about every single thing that is important in a deer's body. It just destroyed this deer. He takes off, you know, because I'm a redneck. He takes off running, and I watch him fall over, and I'm like, awesome, nice. Got me a nice little buck for the year. It's a little 2x4. He's got 4 points over here, a little brow tine, and these 3 here, and he's got the 2 on this side. Decent little deer. I am happy with him because now I am officially tagged out. But just as my luck would have it, I'm sitting there and I watch this deer fall over dead, and I look over to my right, and here comes a nice decent 8-pointer, comes running right in and stops at 10 yards and stands there. I can't do nothing about it because I just killed this deer, and I don't have any other tags. I only had that one tag. He's a decent 8-pointer. He's probably about twice this deer's size, which isn't a whole lot, but it's a better deer than this one, and definitely one that I would have taken if I had not taken this one. So, you know, in a way, it pays off to wait if you are hunting for a big buck. If you have areas where you can hunt for big bucks, definitely do it, because it's a lot more fun to chase the bigger bucks, because the littler bucks are stupid. Everybody knows they're stupid. They're smart, but they're stupid. You know, they'll walk in even though you're sitting there waving at them. You know, I've been literally talking on the phone with my dad. Actually, I was. When I shot this buck here, I was talking on the phone with my dad, telling him that I just shot a nice 6-pointer. At the time, I thought he was a 5-pointer. But I was telling him on the phone, hey, I just shot a little buck. I'll come back and get the 4-wheeler, and we'll pull him in. We'll start skinning him out. And pretty soon, I look up, and there's a little spike running. He's running after a doe that just ran through. And he didn't have any care in the world about me sitting there talking. I mean, I was talking just like I am right now. And he didn't care at all. He was busy. And something that I thought was really unique was there was 3 bucks. Actually, there's 4 bucks. There's 2 spikes, this one, and a little 8-pointer that I told you about. They were all chasing a bunch of does. And it's 2 days before Christmas. It's actually Christmas Eve now. And they're still chasing does. They're still rutting. And something that has happened many years prior was across the road from my house. We've always seen, on like the last day of season, we've always seen monster bucks chasing does all over the place over there. So hopefully I won't have to sit and watch those giant bucks run around with does because that'll hurt. That'll hurt the old heartstrings there, because watching a giant buck run around, I don't have a tag for it. But that's what happens. Oh well. I got me a deer. I got 4. Actually, yeah, I got 4 deer this year. I don't know why I held up 5. I got 4 deer. My dad also got a nice little 4-pointer with his muzzleloader. So we're done. Don't have to hunt anymore. I can focus on fishing. I'm also going to do some coyote hunting, so I guess I do have to worry about coyote hunting. I am going to do a lot of coyote hunting, though, because we need to exterminate them. But yeah, thank you guys for watching once again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know how your deer season has been. If you have tagged out or if you haven't, let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching once again.